Hey guys, welcome to episode 8 of Ultimates 10. In this episode, I really want to tackle this little orb of automation I started setting up here. In fact, it doesn't even work all that well because these two have started missing channels, and yeah, I just want to get my main controller built, and boy oh boy is that going to be fun. I think the first order of business, in all honesty, has to be removing this crafting computer and using some dense cables to separate these out because I'm starting to run out of channels, and hopefully these dense cables help fix that issue, at least temporarily, and buy me some time to start auto-crafting stuff to get the big ME controller setup in the back. Now, I could go ahead and automate every single inscriber thing by itself, but I don't feel like doing that. I want to take it to the next step and craft myself one of the fancy new combination machines, like a food processor, but for circuits. I think it's called a circuit slicer. And it can cut up blocks of materials directly into silicon, and then I believe is it a assembler of some sort that can a crystal assembler that can then combine all of these to turn them into fully built out circuits and also then autocraft components directly in the crystal assembler. So I want to make me one of these and then make me one of those. Except it seems to get started, I would need Skystone, and we are completely out of Skystone. And I'm hoping there's some in here, because I remember there. Oh, oh, there is some in the drawers. Excellent. I am going to make a seed out of this, and instead of having to take my items over here every time, I'm just going to move the entire infusion altar over to the new place. Just for now, this guy can live right here. And I assume that putting this here will put my pedestals right against this, and that does seem to be the case, but then again, it is all temporary. And in case I don't like it or I can't get used to this thing being here, I can always relocate it literally anywhere else. I'm gonna have so much space. And I gotta do the usual. Craft these up. Then put Skystone in a box or a drawer. There doesn't seem to be a drawer available. Psych. And then I just take this pattern and put it in the CPU. Now I tell the exporter to export some Skystone for me, please. Okay, but before I continue with my quest to make a circuit slicer, I want to teach the system how to make a barrel, and then also teach it how to make oak slabs. Actually, I'll teach it this recipe, just because. And then I believe one of these crafters happens to be completely empty. Hold on. This is why I hate this. There we go. And this is in an effort to fix this right here. So in the last episode, I was talking about how less than 54 items can make the farm stall out completely if the items get double stacked. And this is a result of the system being unable to constantly pull items until they're in a stack size large enough to craft these items. For example, I need 8 blazing crystal essence to make 1 blazing crystal. And so up until I get 8 of these in this inventory, there's not going to be enough to craft and push a new item in, and these two slots are going to stay blocked. Just there it turned to 9, and then these two slots are still blocked. Solution I'm thinking about here is that I put a barrel down in this block space right here, or perhaps this block space right here, and then copy the settings off of this export bus and force this subnet to export into this barrel instead. And before I do any of these things, I wish to turn the farm off. I can't even reach this, so I'll break that and then tell it to be redstone high so that this thing just stops harvesting for a quick second. Alrighty, the changes I'm trying to make here happen to be taking this offline, taking this off, and taking that off, putting down an export bus, and then putting down this barrel. And then I think this would become another storage bus. And now I would filter out all 27 essences that and all 27 items that this would ask for, and then essentially copy this and put it in here. And on this export bus, I wish to use a capacity card and max out my acceleration cards so that it empties out from this inventory as fast as possible. Now, the fastest way I imagine to use or to find out what essences go where would be to just turn the farm back on and then watch for what gets stuck, because nothing's being exported out of this chest quite yet. And just like that, I'll find out which one's left. 8. And what else? Let's see. What am I missing here? I should probably sleep. That genuinely jump scared me. Oh, it's the Skystone essence. Right, because I thought coal essence and Skystone essence look the same. And I can put all of these in here. And now, hopefully... Oh wait, I need to set this to round robin. And now, this should empty itself out rapidly. Alright, it's time to sleep, I guess. Now that that is fixed, I'm actually going to take this bed and actually put my bed down where I teleport into this new base. I don't know what this is going to be yet, so it's going to be my respawn point for now. Now that that's fixed, I guess this is a perfect showing of what I was trying to do. Notice how nothing stays inside of this, and this now maintains essentially a single item buffer for everything. This is what I was after. And just like that, the system gets improved once again. I have been stealing parts and components to get this guy up and running, but it is what it is. Nothing seems to be broken just yet. And at the moment I have a single crafting CPU, and it's a little bit annoying, but it's fine. It gets the job done. I just have to stage my crafts one at a time, so I can't multi-process anything at all, but I'm getting through it. That's one part of this done. I think I should be able to make up the Skystone tank as well. And I should be able to control click the other two. Now, I think the machine case... Oh. What's an entro-infused ingot? I've never seen one of these. How do I make this guy? In a reaction chamber. Entro dust, gold ingot, lapis, and water. Okay, I think I can manage this. In a crystal assembler. Well, I'm making one of those, so... An in-world transformation is the same thing. Alright, cool. I guess I'll do this first. Entro dust. How do I get this? Entro crystals. In-world transformation. With entro dust, I don't have that. Grown by budding how do I say this word? What are you? Entroized fluix. Like how Certus works. Okay. You need to craft entro seed with the right. You need to craft an entro seed. Right click a fluix block with it. Okay. Okay. I see how it is. So I grab a fluix block, which I have in minor abundance, and then I need to make it entro seed. Is my understanding. And these guys. Ooh. Powdered ender pearl. Okay, I can manage that. Fortunately, I had a bunch of ender pearls from, the janktastic setup in the back, which I can then crush up in one of these. Hopefully it makes the correct type of ender dust. And just like that, 2 ender seeds. So I think I should grab 2 fluix blocks as well then. Actually, now this has me wondering if, like the setup directly behind my head, are these affected by growth accelerators? And in case they are, I could set up another one of these just right here and just grab them manually. I'm gonna try that. Actually, now that I think about it, funny enough, I don't think I would need to connect to that part there. I can just put these over here and try it out, because these would receive power from this entire network over here, and I can do it this way. A little bit of block placing later. I should be able to do that, and then connect all of these around in a circle, just so they all share the power, and then boop it. Now, all of these read device online, and if I just pop an entry seed on here, sure enough. Now I wonder if it's affected by fortune, because that gave me 3, and my mining gadget has a higher level of fortune. So, for this next guy, oh, it says, it's giving me a cross above it, so I'm just going to keep using my little pickaxe here. And I'm going to manually farm this for a second, until I guess I can set up automation for this to where it can be done automatically in a machine. Because I hate having to do this by hand. I would much rather be playing the game instead. But just sat here looking at this guy. Ooh, and it seems that before the next bud could grow all the way up, I have a intro shard because this guy turned into a Certus quartz block. I didn't quite expect it to turn into one of these, but hey, we can always learn new mechanics. Should I do it all again? Okay, you know what? I'll do it all again if I need more entro crystals. How about that? Okay, so back to this recipe. I need entro infused ingots, and I think that's the only thing I'm missing here. So 32, 32, and 32 makes 64. And I believe now that I have 27, I should be able to take 16 and double these. Okay, I feel like I've been hoodwinked just a tiny bit here. 32 entro dust, 32 fluix in a reaction chamber gives me 64. And can I make one of these? Ooh, it's looking like I can. Hold on. Most definitely I can. Okay, that's cool. Because then I don't have to go down the route of having to do this in world. And I felt like I'd been hoodwinked because one entro dust here and one fluix crystal here makes only one entro crystal. So I'm just gonna set this recipe up and yeah. And one reaction chamber for me, please. Thank you. Where do I put it? Do I put it on a pattern provider? Yeah, why not? I'll put this guy here. And I can always ask for a pattern provider now that I have set up a pattern for pattern providers. Just like that. Now, I'm quite unsure of how this guy gets power. So I'm just going to slap a gate on top of it, just in case. Oop. Turn on the auto export and then tell it to... How do I tell it to? Okay, everything's an output, so it'll just output eventually. It'll figure itself out. And so if I go to the uses of a reaction chamber, oh, there's a bunch. Cool. I'm trying to look for this thing right here. It doesn't tell me how much water this thing uses, which I guess I can always figure out in a second. Oh, you know what? I've just realized this thing needs 32 entro dust, and I only got the 27. So it's looking like I do get to do this again. Hooray! I'm not gonna do this ever again. Cool. But actually, I'm not even gonna bother with the rest of that. That can keep doing its thing. I'm gonna take one and then crush up the rest. Now, I've got so incredibly bored of watching that thing happen that I think it's time to upgrade it to an advanced tier. And all I'm missing is one red alloy, so I'm gonna grab one of these enriched guys. Actually, I'll grab all of them, so that's 3. I'm gonna grab 24 copper, which I think would be that much. And then use the factory over there to get me the stuff to do this. Before I leave, though, I do want to find out how much water that thing uses, so I'm gonna put a bucket of water in here. Can I pipe in some water? How do I shift right click? No, I do not. How do I put water in here? That thing did say it needed water. What? I'm so confused. Get help? I don't feel like reading all that. Just found out that my audio was bugged when trying to record what happens next and how I figure out how to do this. So this can hold 16 buckets. So I figured that I can fill this guy up with just the sink by doing that. So I did that and it went down to 15.5, which told me that the pattern uses half a bucket of water. And so I updated this pattern. I've also made myself a tier installer and this now runs faster. What I'm trying to do now is get the system to recognize that, hey, if I have 32 entro dust, I can crush 32 intros into entro dust and then double my amount. But I don't think that quite works because if I try to do this and say grab 10, it says it's missing the 32, even though I've taught the system that one entro, the crystal turns into one entro dust. So maybe if I ask for 32 entro dust first, does this work? And hopefully I get to show you how much faster this is. It's significantly faster because it's got 2 extra slots here. Not that that's all processed up. do I now get to request? Okay, so this works, and it has automatically put in half a bucket. It is now charging up, and it's done. That is fast. Okay, so minor distractions aside, my entire reasoning for making this was to make these, and these can also be made in a reaction chamber. Now, what are the chances that this also uses half a bucket of water? I don't know. I'm willing to try. So if I just get another half a bucket of water in here, you know, it's worth a shot. If it's too little, I can always reset it. But if I set this recipe down, and then of course I'll have to bring some lapis into the system because... Okay, so now for the moment of truth, I should be able to request intro ingots, and it's only gonna craft in stacks. So I've just gone on a little adventure around the world and grabbed myself all of my speed and energy upgrades while this has been going. And I think I should be able to do that. And then do this. And this should be much, much, much faster now. Okay, this entire processing chain seems to be super speedy. And me personally, I like that. I like that a lot. Now, it does look like there's two recipes here, and this is just rotated by 90 degrees. That's no biggie at all. And hey, that was the last piece of the puzzle. I can now make a crystal assembler. Ta-da! That I've set this up with a pattern to make one of these logic processors and do all of that. I want to try and request this. So if I middle click and say make me 10, I want to see how quickly this does it. Okay, well, it's not exactly slow. I do want to set this to be blocking mode. But hey, that's made them 4 at a time. And this was still decently fast. I believe I can put acceleration cards in here. So next on the to-do list is the circuit slicer, which needs one of each of these presses, and a stone cutter, and another extended machine frame. I should be able to make this rather easily, right? I think it would be more convenient for me to just do this, and then toss this in here. I make myself a machine casing, one of these, and then I should just be able to request it. It couldn't be that much more complicated now, can it? If I just say next. Okay, it's missing some presses, but it really shouldn't be missing those at all. Oh, inscriber concurrent press. That's a different one. I've never seen that one before. How do I make a concurrent press then? Okay, so it's just a silicon press with one of these. And I'll just make one of these, that's okay. Press. So silicon press, eye of ender, and then 4 enter crystals. Okay, 3 and 4. Okay, this goes in here. And now I should be able to just request a circuit cutter. And now I have a circuit slicer. And I'm going to give it the same treatment, put it on a pattern provider, let the system craft my pattern provider for me. Oh, such a godsend. This is speeding this entire process up so much because I'd have to go through and manually craft all of these up like a pleb. This doesn't get power. That's annoying. So I should now be able to slice my circuits in that guy instead of putting it in here. Even though the circuit slicer's got a bunch of fancy uses, I just need it for the basics at the moment. So I've got the gold, I've got the diamonds. I'm gonna do the printed silicon. And lastly, the Certus quartz. I also got tired of constantly running out of gold, so I'm adding gold seeds to the list. And now that I've returned to it, it's crafting coprocessor. It seems like this is actually able to keep on top of all of these incoming crafting requests. How very cool. Yes, I did make a new one. I didn't just steal this one back. And yeah, now I have passive gold, so I don't have to worry about gold anymore. I still have oh so much iron, so I'll do this later, but I was running low on gold. And yes, all of these are just being voided off for now. Later on, when I do need more, I will make more base in here. Probably in the future, bulk craft up a bunch of upgrades, put them all in. Or maybe even use disk drives like the mega cells. But that's all later in the game for now. And you know, I am realizing that 27 items plus a few essences is a lot. This is 15 wide, and This isn't even all of the items that are just stored in here, so I'm kind of glad that I have plans to double it up. There's going to be a second row of drawers that goes right where I'm running around. So this is going to be mirrored. Yeah, it's going to be quite neat watching drawers go all the way up. And plus, I can always expand the range on that guy so the drawers can extend even further. Ooh. And with all of that being said and done, I believe I should be able to craft up the leftover ME controllers to get to 208. Now, 208 minus 112 happens to be 96. So I'll just grab 96 of these, and I'm crossing my fingers and hoping. Ooh, I need more CPU power. That's okay, I can just craft up another CPU to just put at the end there. And that should be extra 1K crafting storage later. Since this is online, I now have 3000 bytes of storage. And I should be able to request 96 controllers. I do believe I had everything I needed, so here we are. And I believe this guy should be going crazy, smelting up all of that silicon, which should be going in here or in here. Yep, this is doing this thing. Turn that on to auto output. And this should be crafting up its processors, and it is. Okay, that also auto outputted. And I believe that just means that this should really soon start getting in all of the stuff. Let's see what this is up to. Okay, it's gonna craft all of its engineering processors first, and then get to the controllers. And I'll cut back to when I have all of them. Okay, so for whatever reason, upgrading this has broken its ability to auto output. I don't quite understand why, but it now refuses to send its stuff back up, which is fine by me, because I get to play the fun game of watching my controllers be crafted right in front of my own eyes. Look at it go. Sometimes my genius, it's almost frightening. Okay, and before I forget to mention, I would like to give credit where credit's due. This controller that I'm making happens to come from Stat himself, and his guide is available in the description down below. I'm doing nothing but follow the guide because I have tried to make a controller like this in the past, and it was not a fun time, and neither was it good looking. This happens to be both of them, which is why I wish to feature it in the middle of my base. And so the next step is that the guide requests 512 P2P tunnels. I'm missing a bunch of stuff. However, I believe something has gone wrong. This wants Ender IO silicon and is also asking for the inscriber silicon press. And I believe that is because this guy is still trying to craft these and these. So I'm going to remove that and then try again. If I tell it to make 512 once again, I'm missing iron. You know, I'm looking at this in its state of disarray, and I've just had a little bit of an epiphany. Because this is using only one computer in general, I have rarely ever seen these active. I believe if I do that, and then move this up there, I can have similar functionality. Yeah, I guess, I don't know if y'all see the vision, but I'm thinking a computer at the bottom, a slice for crafting, and a computer at the top. So now instead of these being down here and being able to only use one molecular assembler, this guy can use both of these, this guy can use both of these, so on and so forth. And in fact, I can put a second molecular assembler here and a third over here, because now if I put another computer down here, they'll connect to each other and I can't be having that. So yeah, I think this is a good step forward. I will have to space these out, like leave a block in between them, but that does give each one of these extra space to request crafts into. Because sometimes I do see both of these active at the same time. And I assume once there's more stuff to craft and there's a third crafter, all three of these will become active. Oh, wait a minute. My home network had a decent amount of iron. That's not nearly enough, I don't think. However, if I go into the mining dimension, this is more what I was thinking I would have. And I'll just grab out all of this, and then just do believe with all of those upgrades, it kind of just makes sense for me to, okay. It makes sense for me to first empty this out and then retry that, because just bulk craft out all of these iron blocks and just toss it into here. I'll just do it this way instead. And given how many times I've had to craft up a crafting unit, I'm going to teach the system how to make one of those too. Request myself one of these, and it should be done fairly soon. At least I hope so. What's happening? Am I... Okay, it's done. Cool. And now I should have enough CPU storage to make the thing I've been trying to make this entire time. And that is the 512, the elusive 512 P2P tunnels. Yeah, I needed 8,000 bytes, so I figured I'd just go for it. And this is going to be a big one. I've just taken the acceleration cards out of the inscribers that were there, and I put it into this guy, and look at him go. Holy moly, this guy goes. You know what? I'll also whack it into here, and... Okay. I see why people go for this instead of the inscribers. I've seen so many people on YouTube and even the Aldermod server just skip inscribers in general, because these... You know, I'm suddenly seeing the value behind these, if I'm being honest. And yeah, this is almost halfway done through its craft. And in a few seconds, I will be completely done. Look at it go. You know, I feel like the auto crafting needs a little bit of a break. I need to go back to building something pretty. And yeah, I've just spent way too long sat in front of that big stupid little crafting terminal and the pattern encoder and making patterns and all that jazz. You know what? I think it's time to pack up. It's started to rain. I'm gonna go build the room for my AE2 controller. And I'm gonna montage it. I'll see you on the other side, people. And we are back from the montage, people. I mocked up the little controller that I'm going to build. I say little in air quotes because this is going to be 16,348 channels, if I remember correctly. That's a lot of channels. And yeah, I built this sort of access room that sinks into the floor just to highlight the fact that this is big. Because if I was going to keep the little netherwart block star in here, then it would cut off right about here, or my cursor's where my crosshairs are looking at. And if I would keep this one block high step ledge here, the only part of the controller I'd be able to see would be down to about here. So I'd be only able to see half or 3/4 of the controller. But as the central ornament to this base, I feel like it deserves more of a grand reveal. So as if you're walking around, you see the tippy top and you're like, oh, I wonder what this is. And you see from a quarter to a half is visible. And as you walk up to it, you see its entirety. And I think that's a neat visual effect. Also, the stairs as they pop into existence, because this is a 45-degree angle, looks super cool. At least in my opinion. And yeah, I'm probably gonna build out the rest of this floor and these access rooms for the wireless controllers, or the wireless blocks, after I build this guy, just so I know how many to put in and stuff. And yeah, that's the progress so far. In the realm of auto crafting, I believe you did see me set up all of this before. Actually, maybe not these bits. I did set up mechanism machines, just a couple of them. Jank automation as usual, just to get up to speed. And once I have that guy, I hope to have the banks of automated machines on either side on both sides. I promise that made sense when I said it, but now that I said it, I promise it doesn't make as much sense. I did move the infusion altar over here from back there, and even though it's not centered, and that does piss me off ever so slightly, I feel like once its counterpart, which is the awakening altar, shows up on this side, it'll be a lot more balanced looking at the very least, even though I know it's not centered on that square. And I can't really do much about that other than making this square a little bit larger. I'll experiment with that once I set up the automation on both sides. So I think it's time to get started with the big guy.